What up, YouTube? Ed coming back with a Mail Day recap video. I hope everyone out there is doing well. The MLB regular season is over. Man, what a day for baseball yesterday. So many insane historical outcomes happened yesterday. This MLB season was pretty wild with some of the historical feats that individual players but also teams did, and man, it was a hell of a ride. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the Phillies do. The Phillies clinched the second seed, so they do get a bye. They did win the NL East, but I'm hoping that they have a deep playoff run, and their new season basically starts on Saturday. The time will still be determined, and who they play will still be determined. They're going to either play the Cincinnati Reds or the Los Angeles Dodgers, but there's a lot of really good matchups this year for the postseason. And postseason baseball, that's where the excitement really bottlenecks, and I cannot wait for postseason baseball to get underway. There's just been a lot of really great things happen in the world of sports, and it's just a really great time to be a fan of these leagues, teams, and players. And on the YouTube side of things, I thought about doing a specific video on this because a lot of people, a lot of chatter, a lot of different think pieces, videos being put out there, a lot of different narratives out there. But one thing I don't see being addressed and being hammered home, and I've noticed some of the things I've been saying on lives, particularly Big Scott's lives, and on here on the channel and here on videos, are floating out there into the void for different topics, which is a good thing because I want these discussions, I want these topics talked about, I want them to be addressed, and different viewpoints be brought to the table. But one thing that a hill I'm gonna die on, is that history is history. History is not defined to one period, to one decade, to a couple decades. History is history. And history does not have an expiration date. History does not expire on December 31st, 1979. It is continuous. And I've been deep diving on a lot of World Series videos, a lot of playoff videos, playoff baseball videos from 1980 onward. And there's been so many insane moments in baseball history from 1980 onward. I can just go on and on. And like I said, I thought about doing a separate video on this. But it gets, I don't know, it just, when I read so many comments, and I see a lot of people talk about how they're students of the game, how the hands of history guide their journey in the hobby. But then I see all this history from 40 years just ignored. It just does not make any logical sense to me. It's completely baffling. And like I said, last year was a historic World Series. Freddie Freeman is going into the history books. Sorry to all my Yankee fan friends out there, but there was just so much crazy stuff. One of the cards I'm going to show here, this is from 2024 Topps Now. This is Paul Skeens with his boo, Livy Dunn. Paul Skeens going into the history books, fellas, because he was the Rookie of the Year last year, and I'm 99.9% certain he's going to be the National League Cy Young. So he's going to join Don Newcomb, and he's going to join Dwight Gooden as one of only 3 pitchers to ever win the Rookie of the Year and then the following season win the Cy Young. That's historical. That's pretty freaking wild that only 3 pitchers in the history of the game have done that. My boy Chase Utley. Look at this beautiful card that I recently picked up. This is from 2007 Topps Chrome, when Mr. Utley had a 35-game hitting streak back in 2006. Dude was Babu Yaga out there for second baseman. An absolute boogeyman out there. And this is the red refractor. Numbered out of 99. Beautiful card. Love picking up some Chase Utley. Can never find his stuff at the Philly show because Mr. Ken Golden's always snatching it up. Then we got a nice gold refractor of Rhys Hoskins, the man. Brewers are going to be, he's on the Brewers. I don't think he's coming back for the postseason, but they got the 1 seed. Shout out to Scotty Tradition. That's numbered out of 50. But, man, I've said it, Baseball Collector did a video recently on the passion, and I've said it hundreds of times ad nauseum. My collecting, my standing in the hobby is only an extension of my fandom. And I see more and more people turn into that side, which I'm really, really thrilled to see. Because I do fundamentally believe that your collecting should kind of be a mirror to how you are for your teams, your fandom, in a sense. Because I've talked about this with Ray. I've talked about this with Mike O, John Keaton. Like, maybe it's the area we're from. Because I'm from Philadelphia, and, like, we're insanely passionate about our sports teams. I also think that's part of the reason why the Philly show is the longest running card show, is just because we're so insanely passionate about our teams, and we kept it going for 50 years continuously. But maybe that's why we've outlasted. Maybe that's why that show has outlasted everyone, because just people are so insanely passionate about their sports teams that it reflects in their collecting journey. Speaking of collecting journey, shout out to my Airbnb boys. We got the Black Crackle of Trey Turner. I repeat, the Black Crackle, numbered out of 10. That is 1 out of 10 of Mr. Trey Turner, who won the NL batting title for, I think, shortstops. Yeah. I think it was like 310 or something like that. But very, very cool card. Always trying to add a cheap Black Crackle into the collection. And finally, the WNBA playoffs are on. Shout out to Stuke. Stuke, I definitely want to get your thoughts on the WNBA playoffs, because Minnesota, for the second straight year, got absolutely fucked over. I'm really sorry, my man. I know you're a Minnesota Lynx fan, but that was absolutely insane. The referees for the Mercury Lynx series, and then Coach Cheryl Reeves goes nuclear in the press conference. No lies detected on what she said, but then she gets suspended. Nafisa Collier gets taken out, ankle snapped in half. So the Mercury are in the championship. And Game 5 is actually on Tuesday when baseball starts up for the Fever Aces. So, has that ever happened in the history of sports? If it's potentially the Indiana Fever versus the Phoenix Mercury in the championship, has that ever happened to where a player was on a team, refused to play for the team, then gets let go / traded to another team, and then they meet in the playoffs, they meet in the championship? Something tells me that has not happened in recent history. I'm sure it has, maybe 1 or 2 times in the course of all the sports history, but that is pretty crazy. So let's search some WNBA cards. We got Lucy Olson here. She went to Villanova, local basketball player. She was on the Washington Mystics. She also spent her final season with the Iowa Hawkeyes. So I think that's one of her only few cards that was made by Panini Instant. Speaking of the Fever, this is when they won the Commissioner's Cup. So that's a cool team photo. Probably send one off to SGC. And then this was from the Malice in the Palace game. Caitlin Clark when she hit a logo bomb 3, but that was from the game where there was the fight-in with Sophie Cunningham, and then J.C. Sheldon was throwing haymakers, and Caitlin Clark got thrown around like a rag doll. But there's that. So this video was 10 minutes. A little all over the place with my thoughts, but that's always what I do on my channel. Always just no script and just saying what I think. But I do think it's important that if the hands of history guide the way you collect in the hobby, that you do not relegate yourself to a few decades. Relegate yourself to everything. Have a great one.